everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome. My name is Jill Clark. I'm with the Rideau Hall Foundation, and we are very, very pleased to be hosting you today for today's chat about AI innovation for good. Now, we have an incredible panel of innovators here to speak with us today, and I could not be more excited, and we will get to them in just a minute. But I want to let you know that we're going to be using Kahoot today to get you thinking about artificial intelligence and its applications. And you can see the Kahoot code just down here below. So please connect if you're able. And if you're not able to connect, absolutely no worries. We are all going to be hanging out in the comments section on YouTube. And we want to see you shout out your answers, ask questions, send in comments. So please feel free to use the comment section as like our own little personal hang. Say hello, tell us where you're joining from. So first, I want to talk a little bit about Ingenious Plus, Canada's Youth Innovation Challenge. If you are someone who is passionate about generating solutions to community, Canadian, and global challenges, Ingenious Plus gives youth in Canada aged 14 to 18 the opportunity to innovate for good. Now, we hear this word tossed around a lot, innovation. But what is it exactly? Innovation to us is about doing something better and making an impact. Now, this includes improving on a product, service, or process, or creating something completely new that solves a problem or simply makes the world a better place. Now, for this challenge, there are 5 categories that you can tackle to make the world better through innovation. We have community and civic engagement, equity and inclusion, health and well-being, and technology and entrepreneurship. So you can see there are no shortage of ways to innovate and no limits to the problem we can solve. Often we think that innovation is strictly technical, scientific, mathematical, and yeah, that's true. But innovation is also social, community-minded, entrepreneurial, health-focused, and compassionate. You don't have to be a genius in engineering. You just have to want to improve the world around you. And there's no need to go it alone. Our innovators all stress the importance of teamwork and collaboration. So grab some friends, put your heads together, and challenge each other to do something great. This award invites you to present your innovation projects and ideas, and this is your chance to showcase your innovation in an exceptional network of innovators across Canada. You will have the chance to win entry into this network. Oh, and you'll also have the chance to receive up to $10,000. Not bad. So submissions for our next prize cycle are opening very soon, so the time to start is now. All the information you need to apply and receive up to $10,000 are on our website at ingeniusplus.ca. So please check us out, because the next great Canadian innovator could be you. So I feel so lucky to be here today with our classrooms from across Canada. And we even have some friends joining us from the United States and around the world. So welcome, everyone. We're so, so happy to have you here. And we are also so lucky to be joined by the amazing team at Thomson Reuters. I'm very pleased to introduce Nori Campbell, who will tell us a little bit more about their work. Nori is the Chief Legal Officer at Thomson Reuters and is also on the board of the Rideau Hall Foundation. And she is just as accomplished in the law as she is actively supporting communities and causes across the country. Welcome, Nori.
Well, hi, Jill. Thank you for that amazing introduction of Ingenious Plus. I'm very happy to be here and very happy to get this chance to meet all of our participants. I just wanted to say, I think people talk about innovation happening in collisions, and I'm having a collision moment at this point because, as Jill mentioned, I'm very fortunate to be a director on the Rideau Hall Foundation that sponsors Ingenious Plus. And I'm very happy to be an executive at Thomson Reuters. So I'm just going to tell you just a tiny bit about that and then get the floor handed over to the main event. So Rideau Hall Foundation, our board that I'm a part of, what we are working on is trying to build a better, kinder, more hopeful Canada. Like, what sounds better than that? I just think that is such an inspiring mission and an absolute gem. Something we all just love is the Ingenious Plus work that Jill just did a great job of describing. And then in my day job, I am the chief legal officer, so the head lawyer at Thomson Reuters. And there I get the chance to work with the people that you're going to meet. The reason I joined Thomson Reuters is we have what I think is a very inspiring purpose. We want to inform the way forward. Our CEO talks about how trust might be the existential crisis of our time, and that our work across all of our businesses, trying to make sure that professionals have the right information, that the news people receive is reliable, that we are helping to build the stronger institutions that make up the countries that we live, whether that's legal, my own personal area, access to justice, many important pieces on people having confidence in the judicial system, all the way through to the work that we do with accountants and tax advisors, which make sure that people can trust the markets. And then, of course, our important position with Reuters, a global news organization. All of this work comes together to try to create a more trust-filled world. And one thing that we've all been working on, and what makes me the most excited for you to hear from others, is how to adopt generative AI and do it well so that our products, our services, our work becomes even better, and that it is predicated on leadership and AI innovation. And so in my time, I've just been with Thomson Reuters for just over a year. I've been learning from some of the best, and you're going to learn from them too, because they're up next after me. So I'll just leave you with one thought before I turn the floor over. You know, I've heard it said that innovation is the ability to see change as an opportunity, not a threat. And as I think about the world ahead of all of you, I think that embracing of innovation as opportunity is why you've dialed in. It's why you're so interested in the topic to come. So I just really applaud your interest and encourage you to just keep going. And thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much, Nori, and thank you for being with us. We are so appreciative of all the work that you're doing at the Rideau Hall Foundation. And I love those words about seeing change as an opportunity. And I'm really excited to introduce your team, because we're really lucky to have them with us as well. So let's get to it.
Let's do it.
So we have with us today the Director of Strategic Engagements and Responsible AI, Jackie Lam. We have our lead for data and model ethics, Leah Strom, and the lead responsible AI partner, Lorena Almaraz de la Garza. Welcome, everybody. Hello, hello. I know you've got a great presentation for us today, so I am going to step back out of your way, and I'm so excited to hear what you have to share with us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jill and friends, for hosting, and Nori for that lovely introduction. It's a pleasure to work at TR, and we get to work with you today. So we're happy to share what we know. My name is Lorena. I work with our engineering and our business teams at Thomson Reuters. We make sure that they both know and follow the rules for how we want to use AI.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jackie Lam. In my role as Director of Strategic Enablement, I spearhead initiatives that really try to utilize the wonderful work that the Responsible AI team does and how we can use that to address business opportunities and really transform responsible AI into a critical driver of change at TR.
Hi, everyone. My name is Leah Strom. I'm joining from our Switzerland office. We're a global company, and I'm part of the same team, however, as Lorena and Jackie, and lead our identification of ethical risks with the use of data and our technology.
Awesome. Now I'm going to pass it to Lorena, who's going to continue with the presentation.
Wonderful. Thanks, Jackie. So very quickly about Thomson Reuters, Nori mentioned a little bit, but we work in a few different spaces. We work in the legal space, tax and accounting, and so on. So as you can imagine, we want to make sure that information is trusted, that we have a workflow automation that is reliable. All of this is, of course, empowered with AI, and we want to make sure that we're doing it right. But before we get to that, we want to play a little game with you. We're going to pull up our Kahoot, because we want to test how good we are at telling what's real and what's not when it comes to AI-generated images. So Jesse in the background, if you want to pull up our Kahoot, we'll start there. All right, so we see a couple people already joined. Thank you so much for that. Excellent. All right, so it looks like we're ready to start. I see it pulling up slowly. Okay, so we have this very exciting image of the Pope. You might have seen this on the news. It made the news. Why did it make the news? Because he was looking especially fashionable, because this was generated with AI. What, the photographer was famous? Why exactly was this out in the news everywhere? All right, so it seems like some people know this is fake. Correct. This is very much an AI generated image. Great job to our genius duck, doing great. Curious to see what you think about the next ones. Let's give it a shot again. Also a very famous photo. Is it because of the same reason? Is it generated? Is it real? Let's try to engage our critical thinking. Where would this have happened if it was real? Why would it be generated if it was fake? Nice. So we have a lot of people that were watching the Olympics. So yes, this is a real picture taken by a very talented photographer out in the water. So sometimes we have to think about the context. Where would this have happened if it was real? What would be the purpose of an image like this? Now we have two more, and now Arctic Horse is taking the lead. This is one of my absolute favorite photos. Is it real? Is it fake? There's a lot of flowers. Where would I see so many flowers? How can that dog be so cute? What do we think? Is it real? Is it fake? So it's starting to get a little harder. So this is a photographer for Reuters, Pavel Mikhayev. He took that picture. That's real. This was actually in Kazakhstan. One of my favorite photos. It's my desktop background. But it's real. So you see, it gets a little bit harder to tell when things are real or fake. And now our last photo, the always gorgeous Katy Perry, beautiful gown, lots of photographers in the background. This looks a lot like the Met Gala, but is it real? Is it fake? How can we know? All right, it's fake. And a lot of people know because it became famous, because even her mom messaged her to say, you looked beautiful. And she was like, Mom, I wasn't there. It's fake. But it's harder to tell. And what we do is we engage our polite dog. Yay. Congrats, polite dog and genius duck. All right, drum roll for Arctic Horse. Excellent. Arctic Horse, you get a badge for critical thinker. You're able to assess whether the information you're seeing is true or false, but not everyone engages their critical thinking. Critical thinking means thinking about our context, where are things coming from, why are they there? Not everyone does that when it comes to AI. So first I want to talk to you quickly about irresponsible AI. We've seen a lot of headlines in the last couple of years about AI that is used improperly or in a way that actually furthers some of the things that we don't want to see in the world. Now, what we see here is not the entire story. If we go to the next slide, though, I want to show you a little bit about the data. We're data people, after all. Irresponsible AI causes real issues, right? There's things like algorithmic bias, misinformation, digital divide, maybe the loss of privacy. It doesn't affect everyone in the same way. We have a graph here from the AI incident database that I recommend you check out if you're curious. But the key thing here is that race, sex, religion, age are some of the indicators that actually mean that the impact of how AI is sometimes irresponsible is not equal. That means that we have to care and we have to be engaged. Let's go to the next slide. We do care about AI as much as we care about other issues, and young people especially care a lot. So people between the ages of 13 to 18 rated the concerns around AI just as high as they rated things like social inequality, climate change, healthcare access, and so on. And not only do we care, but we also want to see laws and rules put in place to protect us from AI uses. I don't know if you remember, but a couple of months ago, we had Taylor Swift be very vocal about why we don't want deep fakes anymore. And she's being paid attention to, of course, we all are. Now we're having AI laws that are slowly coming up around the world that protect us, artists' voices and image, to make sure that this is no longer the case. We don't want more deep fakes. But AI is a lot more than that. We don't have enough time, sadly, today to talk about what AI is exactly, but what we want to take away from this is that AI is a set of tools and techniques. The way I think about it is really fancy math. It's statistics that's applied to mimic human abilities, things like vision, reading, logical reasoning, and more. Now, with those techniques, what we can do is apply them to solve problems across a range of areas like sustainability, entertainment, engineering, and a lot more. Now, with this, we can use AI for good. Here, we just highlighted 4 quick examples for you to get curious about what kind of things already exist. The first one here is the Gina Davis Inclusion Quotient, which is specifically about making sure that women are represented in movies and in theater. The second one, Pause, is about helping rangers predict where poachers might be endangering rhinos or elephants. The third one is about predicting floods so that people can be prepared when a flood is about to happen. And then the last one is about revitalizing indigenous languages in North America, making sure that they're preserved using AI and some other technologies. Those are all really high level, really, we have a lot of technical people, big teams working on them. You don't need a team to start working on AI for good. If you have a computer, you can start today. I wanted to share these 2 examples that I did in school when I was in school with a few friends, because it's as easy as finding a library that already helps you build an AI model. I created a model for identifying garbage in natural settings so that if I want to send a crew to clean up an area, we can prioritize their efforts and they go to the places that have the most garbage. So we did a computer vision model for that. And then the second one is about finding how the tree cover, the shade that the trees give in a city, how that's distributed. We looked specifically at the city of Toronto because we know that with climate change, access to shade in cooling areas is going to be really important. So we used open data from the city of Toronto. If you're curious about data, the city of Toronto just gives you free data. And we looked at certain demographic characteristics from neighborhoods in Toronto to see how equitably or not equitably that was distributed. So with that, I hope you'll think about what you can do with AI and get excited, get curious, but make sure that you do it responsibly. Now, to learn about what responsible AI looks like, let's pass it on to Leah, who's going to tell us a little bit about what each of these terms mean and how to apply them.
Thank you so much for Lorena for this excellent lay of the land of what AI can be good for, but also different ways that AI can cause harm to people, to societies, the environment. And I'll be speaking a little bit in the next couple of minutes around what we mean when we speak about responsible AI, but also what we're doing at Thomson Reuters to ensure that the way we are building AI technology and using AI is responsible. First of all, I'll introduce a couple of concepts that we're seeing here on the slide. And they're very closely related, sometimes used interchangeably, but actually have small differences, at least the way we are understanding them here at Thomson Reuters. Starting with AI ethics. AI ethics most of the time refers to sort of the values, the fundamental rights, the principles and morals that we want to embed in AI technology. And these values can be things like privacy, ensuring people have their personal information protected, values like fairness, ensuring that people are treated equally and fairly through AI technology, and ensuring also that nobody would be discriminated through the use of AI technology. Or things like transparency, making sure that we have enough relevant stakeholders have access to information of how AI was built, what type of data it has been used to train it, etc. So AI ethics is really sort of the fundamental values that sort of guide the development of this technology. AI governance, on the other hand, talks more about the frameworks, the policies, and regulations that guide the development of AI. AI governance frameworks are often or most of the time based on AI ethics values. So we take the values and we transform them in something that is more actionable. We transform them in laws where we say certain types of AI systems need to be checked for fairness, so need to be checked that they're not discriminating against anyone. So that is sort of taking the value of fairness and transforming it into a role that we're establishing and we're applying to the development of AI. AI governance is also a lot about the roles and responsibilities that all the actors that are involved in AI development, but also in the use of AI have. And finally, responsible AI is a sort of umbrella term that speaks about the practice of designing, building, and deploying AI in a way that maximizes benefits for society, for individuals, and minimizes risk and harm. When we speak about responsible AI, we really speak about a mindset that we're applying at Thomson Reuters to ensure that the way that technology is being developed within the company, but also how we're using technology that might be developed outside of our company, is responsible. If we move to the next slide, we have sort of a simplified way of speaking about these concepts. Jackie, I think you... Perfect. Thank you so much. Which is to say that if AI innovation is the name of the game and it's why you are all here today, then good sportsmanship reflects ethics, reflects AI ethics. The rules of the game are captured in AI governance, and the end goal is responsible AI. And we all have a role to play here. At Thomson Reuters, we follow sort of the same structure. On one hand, we have our own data and AI ethics principles. These are a public commitment that Thomson Reuters has made a couple of years ago and said, whenever we are using data or building or using AI technology, we want to follow the following principles here. I'm not going to speak about all of them in detail, but you'll see that there is some of the values I mentioned previously that they're reflected here, such as fairness, privacy, and also accountability and transparency. So Thomson Reuters as a company has really committed itself to sort of embed these values in the development of AI technology and the use of data. If we now move from the values to our governance framework, I'll speak a little bit about how we are transforming and making these values operational and how we're embedding them in the way that we're building AI technology within the company. So on one hand, we have, based on sort of a lot of academic research out there, some of the experiences that Lorena showed before, some of the harms that have already manifested in the world with the use of AI, we have set out to capture or understand what are the risks of building this technology and have created a sort of repository of many different AI risks. Some of them are related more to some of these ethical values, but others are also risks to the company because AI obviously is an opportunity for us to embed it in our products, but it also carries risks related, for example, to data security. We also have then created a wide range of policies and standards. So these are kind of our internal rule books that we expect all people, all internal employees that are building this technology and using it to follow. These rules are basically pieces of paper, so that's not enough. We also need ways that we can make them practical and really embed them in the way that these teams are working across the company. And so we have templates, we have tools, we have processes that we expect all AI development at Thomson Reuters to follow. And finally, we obviously need to train our AI developers, our engineers, and also other stakeholders around these rules, around these tools that we've built. So we spend quite a lot of time to train and upskill our internal colleagues. On the next slide, there is a more practical example of what that means. So on one hand, we have created an internal repository where every AI use case, so that means every project, basically, if it's in a Thomson Reuters product or if it's used for internal cases, is registered. And we really manage, based on that, to keep track of how the technology has been developed and if it has followed our own rules. We also have standards and tools in place to ensure that only the relevant people have access to the data that's been used to develop AI systems, but also to the systems themselves, that the data we're using to train these AI models is of appropriate quality. And we have, for example, a template of how we want every AI system to be documented so that we can ensure transparency about the technology and about our specific products. And with that, I'm wrapping up this little overview, which is a bit more theoretical of how we're doing responsible AI at Thomson Reuters. And I'll hand it to Jackie, who will talk a little bit about more concrete examples and then start asking you to also become our advisors when it comes to responsible AI.
Thanks, Leah. So now that you've heard a bit about, some responsible AI concepts, and Leah shared some TR's principles around data and AI ethics, we really want you to apply those to how you would use that in the real world. So first, let's start with an example. At Reuters News, we provide media organizations with video footage of news events, and our team uses AI to edit footages and also automatically identify speakers and transcribe speech to text. To ensure that there are no biases, we've tested our AI system for gender and racial bias by running a set of selected test images against it. And we did not detect any difference in how well the system performed for both different genders and races. So now that's one example. So if you were to be hired as responsible AI consultants for TR for two of our business segments, news and media and legal professionals, what are some of the concerns and AI risks that you would want to consider? And what type of mitigation strategies would you advise on? We want you to discuss within your classrooms and think about, all the different AI ethics principles that Leah and Lorena shared, and really think about how you can make a difference in how we operate in these two fields. So now please take the time to do a quick discussion within your groups, and we welcome everyone to share within the platform.
Yeah, this is so interesting. I feel like when I think about AI and I think about kind of the way that it's creeping into our everyday lives, I know that we're sort of living in a world now where you have to use the internet for everything. If you want to sign up for something, if you want access to something, if you want to pay for something or buy something, everybody has to use their phone or their computer in order to do that. So it makes me think a lot about people who maybe aren't as internet literate or savvy. I know that, for a lot of young people, it's sort of second nature now, but I know that there are older people or people who haven't really grown up in an internet culture who can be made really vulnerable by something like AI that's being used improperly. So I would think about like the issues of misinformation and deep fakes and loss of privacy as, kind of tools that are being used to make people vulnerable or take advantage of people who aren't necessarily able to discern, real from fakes, or, people who want to use their personal information for nefarious purposes. Is that is that something that feels common?
And I see that some of the feedback from some of the classrooms are similar to what you were saying, Jill. Fake news, how do we ensure that it's real? How do we ensure that there's transparency in kind of the tools that we're using? And so I think how we address some of those potential AI risks is to consider potential mitigation strategies. And so, for example, using diverse data sets, ensuring that there's continuous monitoring and the concept of human in the loop, so that we have our editors always, fact checking the information that they are using, or like the output that the AI tools are producing, being caught up with regulatory compliance and ensuring that, we're staying abreast of all the developments throughout the different regions that we operate in, as well as transparency from the fact that, in a lot of our products, we also have citations to ensure that, as the user of our tools, where that information is coming from. And then if you do want to dig deeper, there are opportunities to see how that output is being generated. And so I think we got some really, really great feedback from the different classrooms. Lorena and Leah, is there any other points that you wanted to bring up before we jump to the next section?
I'm very impressed to see everyone already thinking about misinformation. What kind of issues will it cause? We work in news, we work in legal, we want things to be true. So thank you all so much for sharing your thoughts. I know we have a couple of questions in the chat, so we're going to try to answer them. I see one about how to keep up with changing AI since it's moving so quickly. I think when we think about AI, like any technology, we got to think about our values, and that's why we have them up here. What is it that we're trying to protect? If what I want to protect with my use of technology is my security, my privacy, then that's the kind of AI that I want to further in the world. As you say, there's a lot of AI. It's changing really quickly. The one that we want to keep growing and keep paying attention to is the one that focuses on our values. What I suggest is find your passion. AI doesn't happen in a vacuum. AI happens in specific fields. For us, it's in news, in media, in legal. But for you, maybe it'll be in sustainability, or it'll be in entertainment. Whatever you're passionate about, focus on AI there. It's really, really broad. I see a couple other questions coming in the chat. Maybe Leah, do you want to take it on?
Yeah, we saw a question coming in around identifying what is real or fake online. So basically spotting fake news or fake images, just like the ones we saw at the beginning. And I think this is a very interesting topic and obviously very important also for us, especially for our news business. There are on the technology side, people are developing sort of ways to watermark generated content. And so a lot of the providers of very large generative AI models, for example, OpenAI, which is the provider behind ChatGPT, they're starting to look into this. But it's also important to know that these tools, they don't work perfectly well. And we've seen actually in the school context, a lot of times where these fake detectors have sort of marked assignments as being generated that weren't generated. And so it's really important to know that obviously, from a technical point of view, people are trying to find solutions for that, but these solutions don't always work perfectly well. So it's maybe a half satisfying answer. I think at the same time, we should also think that this is not necessarily a completely new problem. Fake news existed before generative AI was a thing. So before we had ChatGPT and before it was so easy to generate fake images or fake video. And back in the day, and I think that's still valid today, what I think the most important way is to understand what is fake or real is to trust the source. So having the media literacy to know what sources of information are trustworthy and what aren't, to be able also to investigate when you think something might be looking a little bit fishy, to go back and try to research online with good old Google. So I think that's really around understanding that based on the source, we can trust certain content or we can't. And we need to always be critical when we're now seeing images or seeing headlines, because it's so easy to generate this content. So just having sort of that critical mindset is key here.
I think there was a question around what is the best AI tool or platform? And to that question, I think there isn't one tool that does it all. You really need to understand your use case, which use cases you're trying to prioritize, and then working with your stakeholders in the group that you're trying to help and determining what's the best AI tool for you. So I don't think there's like one answer to say this is the best AI tool, but really understanding the use cases you're trying to improve, and then working with a trusted brand to really kind of inform the way forward.
Thank you all so much for your engaging questions. It makes me so happy to see that you're thinking about these things and you're excited and you're curious. So thank you all. Take a screenshot of those. Oh, it's gone. But I was
Sorry.
going to say, of those practices, and think how you can implement them. Are there some of these responsible AI practices that you can implement as you start to work in AI? Because the way that AI is going to play out, someone asked, what's next for AI? What can we expect in the next few years? Is it's up to you. What do you want to see in the world that uses AI, and how do you want to shape it? I know what's going to happen is in our hands, right? We know that right now we're seeing AI sort of everywhere. Probably it's going to settle down to some spaces where it works better. Maybe it's going to go away from areas where we're seeing it's not quite as successful as we want it to do, but we want you to shape that. So take a screenshot of this, think about those practices. And before we wrap up, we want to say, think about an AI solution that you want to see in the world and really close your eyes and envision some of its benefits. What are some of the things that maybe you find tedious or boring or repetitive that a machine, that a fancy math, an applied statistics system can help you solve? It's your turn to shape AI. So think about what are some of the things that you can do that for. There's a couple more questions. I'll take the next one and then pass on the other ones to Jackie or Leah, but maybe we can all answer this one actually. What do we feel is the biggest challenge for AI personally? I think for me is to never forget about why we wanted technology in the first place, right? Why did we develop the steam engine? Well, we wanted things to be better. We don't want things to have harm that is just automatic. What we want is for things to be better and better for everyone. Now, that's why we need to focus on values, because when we focus on other things, when we focus on, I don't know, making money or becoming powerful or whatever, we start to gear AI towards an area that none of us truly wanted to go. When we think about our values and we put those first, I think that's the biggest thing. And unfortunately, that is one of the challenges. It's tough to always bring those values first. But we do what we can as a responsible AI team. I don't know if Jackie or Leah, you have any thoughts?
I think for me personally, it's keeping up with the pace. I feel like there's always a new AI tool in the marketplace. Every day I'm hearing about how AI is being used, incorrectly. And so I think just being curious and to the critical thinking part and just really understanding kind of like what your use case is and learning and doing what you're doing today and taking part in these AI discussions and just taking an active role in how you want to shape responsible AI in the future.
For me, I think when I think of AI and some of the challenges related to it, maybe they're not so much my personal challenge at this right moment, but the societal implications. Then I really think a lot about sort of how we're, what our common understanding of sort of the world and what is real is, and how it's sort of changing more and more through the availability of this technology, how we're actually communicating with each other. And that, I think in a way that's a risk. So the fake news and the impact on democracy, but it's also an opportunity, because I feel like because AI is making it so easy to communicate in writing, but also not necessarily communicate in the most meaningful way in writing, because I can just write an email or a message just by clicking basically a couple of buttons now. I think the personal connection will be more and more important. And so I see that through this technology, I think personal connections that might not be moderated by AI at all will become more important. That's sort of what's also making me hopeful.
This is so incredible. I'm so just trying to take all of it in. I think too, there's like an important piece here now that we're learning so much about AI, and you guys have done such a great job of teaching me and all of our viewers about it. I think it's important too that we become ambassadors for responsible AI and thinking critically. It might be something that's easy for us to understand, but there are lots of people, as I said, who are maybe not as savvy or not as informed, who will need to know these things. I know that Canada is about to have a federal election in the upcoming year. It's going to be really important that we're getting true facts and not being, kind of misinformed or disinformed by AI. So I want to encourage everybody as well to take everything that we're learning here today and talk about it to your parents, to your grandparents, to your communities that you're involved in, that responsible AI is possible, and here are ways to kind of think critically and be actively involved in, as you say, being consultants for the future of AI. I think that's so great. Thank you everyone so much for your time, for your generosity, for sharing all of this with us. Again, thank you so much to our classrooms for joining us as well. This is such an important conversation, and we're so happy that so many classrooms wanted to participate in this chat today and become better and more informed citizens of the world. So I want to thank the Thomson Reuters team, to Jackie and to Leah and Lorena for being with us. I want to thank Nori Campbell as well for her words of welcome. And again, you can check us out, ingeniusplus.ca, to see all of the great innovation work that is being done by young people across Canada. That is just so inspiring and encouraging to see that this generation is here to really solve a lot of our problems and help us to create a kinder, better world. And of course, the folks at TR, at Thomson Reuters, who are doing really incredible work in terms of making our news landscapes, our information landscapes, more trustworthy places to exist in. So thank you again. I wish everybody a really great afternoon, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
Bye.
Bye.